Hey everybody, it's MotherGoose27 and welcome back to my channel. Okay, so I gotta be honest with you guys. I actually recorded this video a couple weeks ago and I forgot to plug my mic in, and then I went to record it again and I forgot to hit record on my camera. So, take 3, let's go. So, this game I got back in 2017. I started playing it, I enjoyed it, but I don't know, I just didn't enjoy it enough to keep playing. And so I kind of just put it away. But everyone I talked to about it just kept saying, it's such an amazing game, you've got to finish it, you've got to finish it. And I eventually got to the point where I started streaming and doing YouTube again, and I thought, okay, this is a really good opportunity for me to actually sit down and beat the game. So I finally beat Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Oh my gosh, there we go. Yes! First try, too. I expected to die at least once. Man, what an amazing feeling. I can't believe it's over. Okay, I know it's been out for a while, but spoiler warning before we really get into it. Today I'm going to talk about the actual story, then I'm going to talk about the art style, then I'm going to talk about the actual gameplay from Link's powers to the enemies, to the shrines and the divine beasts. Then I'm going to talk about the actual ending of the game, and then I'll give my final thoughts on it. But before we jump into that, I just want to kind of talk about my actual experience with the game. If I'm being honest, the first 10 hours of this game, I didn't really enjoy. That's the first few shrines, the first divine beasts, exploring the world. I don't know, I just didn't enjoy it that much. It was fun, but it wasn't enough to keep me playing. I beat the first divine beast, and then I was just kind of over it. And that's on me, but then I started streaming it again, and the more I played it, the more I just fell in love with this game. I think once I got past that little hump of learning the game and actually leveling up enough to where I wasn't just getting slaughtered, and my stamina was good enough I could actually run around, it made a huge difference. And I just really fell in love with this game, and I'm really sad I didn't stick with it originally, but I am really glad that I did come back to it. Okay, let's talk about the story. Obviously, you guys already know, I'm not going to talk about it too much. Ganon came, turned the Guardians and the Divine Beasts against everyone, conquered Hyrule. Link got injured, 100-year sleep, woke up, no memory, has to find his memories, free the Divine Beasts, go stop Ganon. Very simple. You can do this in whatever order you want. You could go straight to Ganon if you want. The story is completely in your hands, and I really love that. What an amazing way to play a game. Though, on the other hand, there's not a lot of story. So if you're someone who really loves story, it's definitely missing out there, but I definitely think it's still worth playing. Okay, now we're going to talk about the art style. I really love the art style. It was so amazing to see a Legend of Zelda game in HD. Oh, it just looked so good. It had a very, Legend of Zelda, but also kind of cartoonish vibe to it, which I absolutely loved. Everything just looked so good. When you first step out and you see the entire world, it's just so breathtaking. And knowing that I could go explore any of that, it was just really amazing. It was beautiful. All of the animations looked really good, from Link, the weapons, all of the NPCs, to the enemies. It all just looked amazing. Okay, let's talk about the gameplay. First, I'm going to talk about Link's abilities. Link's abilities were so nice, and I know it was a little weird because it was very different from other Legend of Zelda games, but I loved the Sheikah Slate and I loved everything you could do with it. At first, I really hated the fact that the weapons broke. That made me so mad, especially when I find a really cool sword or something, and I know I can only get a couple uses out of it, so sometimes I would just store up on weapons and not use them. I don't think it would have worked if you just kept your weapons. I think the fact that you broke your weapons and you kept finding them either by defeating enemies or finding them in chests or in shrines or just around the world really helped add to the exploration factor of the game. And I loved the combination of using the Sheikah Slate and using Link's weapons. They went together so well, and there were so many different ways you could actually fight enemies. I absolutely loved it. Talking about the enemies, I think there's a really good variety of enemies in the game. The Guardians, specifically, I think were my favorite enemies to fight because they just slaughtered you over and over and over and over again in the beginning of the game. And then by the end, you could actually fight them. You could actually beat them, and they weren't such a big deal. And that was just a really amazing power crawl. It made getting stronger worth it, and you actually had something to show for it. You could go back where you first encountered the Guardians and just slaughter them all. Revenge! And the Lionels. Don't get me started on the Lionels. I was only able to beat one, but I did it. Now I want to talk about the shrines. Another thing I really hated in the beginning of the game, but grew to love as I played through, the shrine. We're talking about the shrines. I hated the fact that there were so many, and I'm gonna be honest, I only got a little more than half of the shrines. But man, those first few just felt so tedious, and I knew there was 120, and I was just like, oh, I'm gonna have to do this 120 times? Are you serious? It made me so mad. And that's a really big reason why I didn't keep playing, was because I didn't want to have to keep finding the shrines. And then I started playing. I knew I had to level up. I knew I had to find shrines, so I just forced myself to. And little by little, I fell more and more in love with the shrines. And by the end of the game, I was so excited to find shrines. When I saw one I hadn't been, I just loved getting to go in, to explore it, to beat the puzzle, to get what it had, and most importantly, to get to level up Link. The shrines were a really great addition. They were, most of the time, fairly simple. They were challenging enough to keep you interested, but not so challenging you were stuck there forever. I will say one of my first streams, I did get stuck in a shrine for like 40 minutes. It was extremely embarrassing, especially because I had a ton of new people join me that stream. But, oh well. I got to the point I could beat the shrines pretty easy. The Divine Beasts, on the other hand, were basically very large shrines. And they were really fun. I really enjoyed just getting to explore, to fight the Guardians that were in there, to figure out that puzzle. And I absolutely loved the fact that each Guardian, you had to move their body to figure it out. That took me, my first Divine Beast, that took me so long to figure out how to move the body. It was a little embarrassing, I'm not going to lie, and I'm super glad I didn't stream that one. But, again, something I really didn't like in the beginning that I absolutely grew to love. The Blight Ganons were definitely tough. So, Water Blight Ganon, and I think Wind Blight is what its name was, maybe Air Blight. They were okay. They were challenging, but not too challenging. Thunder Blight Ganon, on the other hand, was a pain in the butt. I hated that. And I was an idiot. I didn't take any spare food. I barely had any arrows. I had barely any items. I did horrible on that Divine Beast. On the other hand, Fireblight Ganon was just really easy. Probably the easiest to fight, if I'm being honest. So it was nice to see that kind of balance. Like, Thunderblight I fought when I was very, very weak, very new at the game, and it was just a real challenge. Fireblight Ganon, on the other hand, was the very last Divine Beast I beat, and it was really easy. So it was, again, just really nice to see that power crawl. Let's talk about actually beating the game. If you free all the Divine Beasts, they help you in the fight. They send a big laser blast, basically, hits Ganon, takes out half his health. That made me so happy when I saw it, because I didn't know how they were going to help me. I hadn't watched people fight Ganon, but that was just really amazing to see, because I put the time and effort into freeing the Divine Beast, and it paid off in the end. So I absolutely loved that. It just made everything I did feel so worth it. Ganon on his own, he was challenging, but again, I had upgraded Link's hearts and stamina enough to where I could actually deal with him, and it just felt so good. It was so satisfying to beat Ganon. And then you move to the fields, and let me tell you what, one of my favorite moments was, you see Ganon in his big beast form, and I look over and I notice my horse, Blue, was just standing there next to me, and I thought it was just, I knew about that part of the game. I thought it was just going to give me a random horse, but to see that it was like my horse that I had been going through the game with just was so amazing. And then you beat Ganon, fades to black, the credits roll, and it's over. And it was so bittersweet because I was sad it was over, and I was kind of beating myself up a little bit because I didn't go find all the memories, I didn't do all the shrines. Like, I wished I'd done a little more before I beat it. But on the other hand, it just felt so good to finally beat the game and to be done with it. I have to say, I would not say Breath of the Wild is my favorite game, but I think just beating it and just sitting there and just like taking it all in, that I actually beat this game, was probably my favorite experience actually beating a video game, if that makes sense. It was just so like calming, and I was just in awe of everything that just happened. I absolutely loved it. Okay, final thoughts, final verdict. This is not my favorite game, if I'm being honest. I would definitely have to put it in my top 10, hands down. Such an amazing game. I would give it like 8 out of 10. Really good. Like I said, the first 10 hours, I think, for me were a little slow, and that's probably just on me, but I think if I had enjoyed those first few hours a little more, I'd probably give it a 9 or a 10 out of 10. But I definitely recommend this game. You've got to try it if you haven't. The art's amazing. The gameplay's amazing. The music. I know I didn't talk about the music in this video, but it is so good. Not even just the music, but the sound design overall. It's amazing to just sit with headphones on and to just listen to the world. But really great game. Really love it. Could not recommend it more. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. That's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to join the flock. And I will see you in the next one. Mother Goose out.